you look at this person, okay, Professor so and so. If he dies, what legacy has he left? Can you understand the legacy that he has left? If you cannot understand and you cannot access, then that is not supposed to be a professor. Okay, so an opportunity to philosophize, an opportunity to be famous. Of course, when you write, people know about you. I go everywhere and everybody knows about me. Not because this is something nice, but well, it's important that if people want to know about Islam, about race relation, about where the country should be heading, or the hopelessness of this country, you know, they can know who to look for. And when you talk to ministers, to people of higher rank in power, they don't talk about formulas. They talk about bigger things. And if you don't read, and then you cannot think, and therefore you cannot write. So reading is another aspect that you need to have. And sadly, we train people to only read journals and certain things, and only one single discipline. So experiments may not work, but ideas are there. Ideas are independent of funding. Now remember that. Ideas are independent of funding. So many research, when I look at them, they're just filling holes here and there, very few with original ideas. And ideas requires you to read, reflect, have experience of things, talk to a lot of people, then good ideas will come. When we ask this question about what design thesis do you want to do to the student, hardly anybody comes up with a very nice, very good idea. And the way they explain things shows that they have not read. They have not interacted with people. They spend all their life with their boyfriend, girlfriend, family, and their chosen profession, like in architecture. So this is a very, very sad thing. Now, first is the teaching. Now, develop the best teaching practice that are meaningful, inspirational, and relevant for industry and nation building. So in teaching, you must develop teaching practice. Whatever thing that you are teaching, you can teach not only the people in the classroom, but also teach the people outside of the classroom. If you are only able to teach people in the classroom, but are not able to teach the same subject, but not in the same content to outside people, then I would not consider you as a good teacher. And so when you write papers, you can write conference papers for papers in education, even though you're an architect, even though in engineering. In architecture, education, teaching is the poorest aspect of the architecture knowledge. You can look, there are so many green here, green there, and all this people like to do sustainable stuff in the PhD, and but they are not much on education at all. You can develop course books. Some people just put up their file. I say, what file is this? Oh, this is my teaching file. Come on, you got to organize it. You got to structure it. Remember, it is structuring knowledge. Knowledge is about structuring experience and information. So when you teach, you are having experience, interaction with students. After 3 or 4 years, then you know what is this that you're doing wrong yourself. So have that kind of thing in some sort of writing. 10 years later, you probably write a different course books on the same subject. You can also then compile those course books into a textbook. All right. And then if you have a textbook, something that I have done before, then you can make a lot of money if it's being used by many people. But here in universities, hardly anybody use textbook. When I was in the United States, if you register to any course, the first thing you have to do is to buy the books. When I registered for a class in Frank Lloyd Wright, there was 5 books that you have to buy and have to read and understand. But in Malaysia, no need textbook. PowerPoint and outline of courses and other students' assignment in the past. That's all you need. It's just like SPM. So that's why I have very low opinion of Malaysian universities and the manner in which they look at knowledge. So, so you can also write children books. Again, we are very miskin in this aspect. Children books are not supposed to be written by very simple people. It's written by expert people. And I hear that in China, professors are writing children books also. Here in Malaysia, they look down on children book. I remember one of the a lecturer asking for associate professor, and he wrote a book on computers for ordinary people and students of sekolah menengah. And I saw the book; it was nice. But the other panel say, "This is a book for children. Is this book for school level?" So they don't know that this is a very important book because it will build the next generation. So in UTM, sometimes they have this thing called, okay, this is a popular book, this is a research book. So research book, the points or markah is greater than the popular book. I said, why? Oh, because research is very important. These people are the ones that are saying this are directors of publication who are professors or associate professors. These are stupid people. Okay. And if they are vice chancellors, they are stupid vice chancellors. I will just say outright to their face. Because a popular book is something that is not easy to write. There is a saying called easy read, hard write. Hard read, easy write. So writing popular things are very difficult. Right? So it is something that can spread the knowledge in a wider sense. But writing research book, it crosses a boundary, but it doesn't actually inspire many people. It inspires maybe one or two, but in order for a society to grow, the masses must have access to this. A lot of people must have access to this. And that's why our country is backward. Okay, we may have the tallest building, Tun Razak Tower, whatever, but we are very backward because we don't have children books written by professors that inspire young people, young students to do great things. So conference and journal papers in education, what are you going to write? Well, write about your method of education on your subject. You do the normal literature review, you compare to others, you can collect something of your friends who have also teaching more than 5 years, what is their method. By collecting the different methods, the different assignments, these are the data. Okay, let's say you're teaching what you teaching? A history of architecture of Malaysia. So there is 20 schools of architecture teaching that subject. Go and document that 20 schools. Then you can get a paper on education. New curriculum ideas to rethink engineering practice or architecture. And I think Dr. Kamarul here, my former student, he had done on the documentation of the curriculum of UTM architecture, but he had also to understand the origin of the riba and the way that the École des Beaux-Arts had begun the institution of architecture education. Before that, architecture education is by apprenticeship. So questioning the relevance of syllabus, like there was a PhD on what is the Islamic architecture, how to produce Islamic architects. It's just some theory, and you can, and the whole PhD is based on what this person thinks should be the curriculum and the syllabus for it. You can then work on course books, as I said just now. You can even have, if you are teaching mathematics or something that is very common, then you can become rich producing this kind of workbook like they do for the vocational schools. Then you link up with the vocational school. I'll have another lecture on how to make money from book writing. This is a different aspect. Okay, but we're talking about promotion here and people being recognized that you have done a contribution. So textbook, you can have several authors, you can hire graphic artists, you can explain concept using real Malaysian case studies. What you do is simply that you put out the Malaysian case studies in your student assignment, and then you collect them, collect the best ones, and then you make it into a textbook. A textbook is simply something that explains. It doesn't cross any boundary. That's fine. And for some people to say this is a lower book than a research book, baling kasut dekat dia. Okay, because these people don't understand what it means to generate knowledge, to spread knowledge, to inspire knowledge, to disseminate knowledge. All they understand knowledge in terms of research. Okay, so these are useless management if they don't understand that. So children's book, as I said, highest priority. The mark of a real scholar is how to dumb down the complex knowledge and information into inspiring text and pictures. We don't have that. Okay, so this is a big gap. All these are big gaps. Okay, that's why I said I didn't mention anything about PhD. You can be a professor without the PhD. Maybe that should be another lecture. Professor without PhD. How do you do that? Research in teaching, you can, as I said just now, most of the writing can be just explaining about things that are already in existence. But research requires certain methodology. So you can research what are the teaching methods that are in existence. You can do evaluation whether this method is producing what kind of result. Okay, and you can also look at engineering or architecture practice related to a subject. How does that respond to the practice? How has it changed? So these are all research in teaching. You don't need a big budget. You don't need a big equipment. You don't need actually anything. Okay, so there's a big hole in the teaching, and always I hear I don't have any budget. University give very little budget. All this budget. Well, I have another lecture that I wanted to give on how to be a good academic with zero budget. You don't need any budget. Okay. So this is the suggested promotion weightage for me about research, 10%, general publication. You must be able to do something of research, something of general publication because you're an academic, but not too much of it. It doesn't. So the one that is most prominent is books and chapters and course books and things like that. Okay, consultancy just so that you have one is enough to make sure that you have the experience. So teaching, of course, it's an activity and others. Okay, so now we talk about academic administration. So develop best practices of academic management, develop new curriculum for new program. So funnily enough, Nazirah now is in charge of architects. This is the first time I see a QS in charge of architect. So that is a very interesting development. And so, of course, she understands so many problems of the architect. You know, the architect ni I paham lah because I've met them 30 years. Huh? So they are differently raised up or grown up, and they think that they are very good, which they are very good, but then they are like fish out of water. Okay, right? And sadly, a lot of things they do are very beneficial, but then they don't know how to document, and they think that others must understand them. I said, no, you have to make others understand you. So all these problems, you know, not many people know. Who talks about it? Okay, I know because I have 30 years, but then I have no interest in administration. I'm trying to prevent the country from being taken over by people who will be given 20 million ringgit each. So I have no time for this. Right? So somebody else have to do this about administrating, how to inspire lecturers in architecture. What's the best way? Things like okay. So you can publish in journals and read books on management. Phrase the things that you are doing within a management jargon or construct. Okay. And then you can have again all these things. She says that you have to write and you have to speak. Not just at conference, but also outside. You have to write and inform the public about it and this sort of thing. Okay. And one of the other things that I have never done is all these guidelines and SOP documentation, like what Sue have done. Okay, in order to please the MQA, this is how. What happens if Sue has an accident tomorrow? Who knows how to do this thing? I don't. I'm a professor, but I don't know how to do it. And actually, I don't know. I don't want to know how to do it. Okay, so you need to have somebody to understand what to do, how to do it, why we are doing it, and how best to present it. Okay, so if you can come up with that, then I will consider that a contribution to administration of architecture. Okay, but here now it's left in some files, it's left in the head, and it's left in the experience. So that is where I will not recognize the person as very good in terms of administration. So again, you can do the same thing, write chapters on how to administer, how to manage the curriculum of architecture and the people there and the facilities and whatever you want to write. Let's say you are engineering, you handle some makmal or laboratory. Well, you can write about it. What is the best way? Because the laboratory, the equipment is the same, but the context is different, the temperature is different, the people holding is different, differently educated, the culture of use is different. So there's a lot of different things. Research, you research on procedures and organizational constructs, the model of, let's say, what is the best model for research center? All right, what is the best model for a, I don't like this term, what do you call it? What is the term? Quality control? Yeah, you know, I hate those terms, but that's part of the world of administration nowadays, apparently. So what is quality control and what do you mean by quality control? I have a traditional idea about quality and definitely not control. Okay, so for me, teaching is a calling, is a spiritual activity. It's something that you are very much reflective of, and also something that you do it even though you're not being acknowledged, even though you're not being rewarded, but you still do it because of a very strong belief. But teaching now has become more of a job or an activity, and so, well, if you want to do this, then you could do that. Marketing research on how to market architecture. I see a lot of times people are doing, what do you call it, marketing. I see a lot that they go, okay, 0, 0, 0, 0. I mean, is that the only best way to market your course? Is it sitting somewhere waiting for people to come? What about your YouTube marketing, or what about your other things? Why the university is so ancient in this perspective. Everywhere people go, they know who I am and they know UCSI. So that is partly marketing, but that is a different way. Okay, I don't market. I market concerns. I market issues. Why do I market that? Because it is something to change society. But by doing that, inevitably, it becomes something of a marketing. So some of it, the percentage, you can just look, we can discuss and we can debate about it, but you can see that the focus will be a bit different. Okay. I just want to tell you that recently I was a panel for the promotion of professor, and then some of the associate professor had defined themselves as teaching, but they don't know what aspect of teaching. So they just thought that teaching is easier than research. And then the vice chancellor asked, well, where is your textbook and where is your how do you do research and teaching? They don't have anything in that. Okay, all they have is that I'm teaching this class, this class, this class, this class, this class, and I'm also teaching outside. But where's the product from it? So that is the problem when, again, as I said, people are trained in research, they are trained in industry, but they are not trained in teaching. Okay, so in industry, helping to make courses relevant to industry by linkages and strategic internship assistant. So there's a lot of things in industry. This is not my strong point, so I cannot talk a lot about it. But I do know a little bit about it. We have internship. Now, have we done any evaluation of our internship? Are there any papers that talks about internship? What did they learn there? You know, in this group of students, what did they learn? Did the management ask them to bancho kopi saja, or get their laundry, or what? Okay, so or the management just ask them, do this, do that, do this, do that, or the management also involve them in the idea of growing as a professional, growing as a person. What is this? You know, so which are the best firms to actually have internship, and where is this paper? Where are the? I don't it's a mystery. You just send them out for internship. This is a big hole in our knowledge of industry as well as teaching. Okay? So record, document, industry project. Now, many architects, or some of you who are architects, you are involved in architecture work. Okay. Now, when you are involved in architecture work and you don't document it in a certain structure, then you are just like any architect, and I will not acknowledge you as an academic. What is an academic? Academic is one who structure knowledge. So the knowledge about that project, which part of the project that you want to record? Is it that you want to teach them how you handle the project, or is it about you want to teach them how a certain issue about client and architect relationship? What is your experience? Let's say you take 3 projects. This is my relationship with the client. This is what happened. And so this is what I reflect to be. I mean, this is exciting, right? This is another big hole. Okay, people don't understand that this is a precious thing. When I did this PhD with Patrick Pasha, and I asked him to record and reflect on 3 of his projects, the comment from the examiners, oh, he's doing his own project. Isn't this not good for research? Well, who's going to give you direct access to all the minutes of meetings and the decisions making? Nobody's going to do that. Okay. So if you cannot record and reflect on your own work, which you are the only one who has access of, then we will never be able to access to this knowledge. Right? So all this aspect about industry, I think most of you much better. I don't want to pretend to tell you that I am an expert in this, but I can tell you what is knowledge, what can be knowledge, if you explain things to me, even about contract writing, or you learn about contract writing. So is this a good contract writing or not for Malaysia? Okay, what are the things that are usually not very good in this contract? Is there papers about it? I have never researched that. Okay. So again, effectiveness of internship, best practices. Looking at the bylaw, this bylaw changed from this, from that, from this, from that. The syllabus of professional practice, the subject. Is there a paper that actually records and document how the teaching of professional practice? Because always the comment, student coming out not very professional. Okay, and they blame the School of Architecture. And I have yet to read a book about it. So similarly, these are the suggested weightage. Finally, we come to the nation builder. So a nation builder does not necessarily write about his profession, like I'm in architecture, but it so happened that my expertise is in Islamic architecture. And so my research went out into the Islam, to read all the hadiths, the history of Islam. And then when it is being implemented in Malaysia and all that, after commenting on buildings, then I found that you need to have a society that understands Islam in a modern context. And that requires different reading. And so I began to read other things than just architecture, and then began to write. And now I can comment on what's happening to Malaysia. Even I have a book coming out now on challenges of conservatism in Islam. And I'm the only one who can tell that, because I've gone through 25 years of looking at how the impact of politics and Islam is on this country. So, media articles, I've written almost 800 articles, and trying to explain. Now I have my YouTube after 6 months. I have 11,000 subscribers. That is very surprising. I never thought that people would actually want to listen to a lecturer talk about things. But then there is a way to do that. And I have published books about resetting Malaysia, rethinking Malaysia, education of the future for this country. And some of it, one of it is also in Mandarin. And these are some of the things. So I'm in popular books. So sometimes I get a bit sad when some people, like the Vice Chancellor, saying, oh, what you write is only your opinion, Prof. It's not much of an impact. That's another stupid statement from a Vice Chancellor. Because 25 years, how can you compare 25 years of reflection engagement compared to somebody doing 2 years of FRGS research? Nowhere. If you want to start a business, you want to talk to professor of business studies with an H index of 38, or you want to talk to Datuk Peter Ng? You must talk to Datuk Peter Ng because he is the one who went through the experience. These people just read papers. Okay, so this is where people don't understand what knowledge is, what is the importance of certain things, and they look at academia and knowledge in a very, very small or limited way. Okay, so all these things we find now. I'm not looking for architecture conferences. I'm looking for conferences of social science, conferences of religion, conferences of nation building and things like that. And I'm looking to publish my media now in overseas newspaper like Jakarta, or newspapers in Indonesia, perhaps in Singapore, perhaps in Asia Sentinel. I'm looking to expand that. Never mind if they reject, you just send and you republish it back in your own newspaper. Okay, so the percentage and weightage there is something that is suggested in this manner. So my advice, this is coming to the end of the first part of the lecture, is about cross your field to social science, arts, communication. Use your knowledge to cross, because a lot of times recently this person, a professor of political science, came to give a talk about Islam, how Islamic countries are regressive or regressing because of certain socio-political factors, and he's being denied making a lecture at a public university. I won't name the public university, okay? But I have inside knowledge of the public university, which should tell you which university it is. Okay, so they denied him, and when they denied him, I bought the book. I listened to the lecture. It's got nothing to do with the idea of Islam liberal or Islam sesat. You see how small the so-called professors. If I want to ask you to respect professors in public universities and other universities, I pun segan. Okay, I call this Professor Tempurung. I don't like this Professor Kangkong. That one means different thing. But Professor Tempurung means you never went out of your own small field of study. When I lectured at UKM, being invited by the Faculty of Islam, I was very excited, and I explained my views and all the hadith and all that. And you know what the questions are? Prof, hadith ni you baca, they went on the nitty-gritty of the hadith and things like that. I said, yeah lah, but then the bigger picture tu macam mana? What is your opinion? They cannot say. And then I was never invited back. And suddenly I am now the board of governors of that same university. And I went through 2 of their candidates for professorship, and I then know the depth of lowness of knowledge that they have about the world. Okay, they may know about what they have done, but it's the same thing also in other fields, in the field of science. And many of my friends in the science field are very unhappy that their views are not being taken seriously by the public. I said, you don't know how to talk to the public, then how can they understand this? Okay, so this is also a problem. They don't read books like by Michio Kaku and all that. This is a book by a professor of engineering, and you can look the books. Why Buildings Stand Up was the one that I read and understood about structure. This is for the layman. Okay, and then it has a book of maths games, middle school. So he wrote a book for middle school. Okay, so if there are 5,000 middle school in US, how much is the royalty there? Okay, so well, that's another day that we talk about making money from book writing. Okay, so these are the books by Professor Mario Salvadori, the person that I learned. But I never met him. I never talked to him, but I just read 3 of his books. Why Buildings Stand Up, Structures in Architecture, and Why Buildings Fall Down. Failure of architecture, failure of building. This is my favorite scientist, Michio Kaku. I have 4 of the books. And when I read about him, he projects where we will be in terms of society into the future. So all these topics you can see they're very exciting topics. And his book is not only something that crosses the boundary of knowledge at the present, but crosses the boundary of time. You know how difficult it is to actually predict the future. You need to know a lot. I can predict the future of Malaysia because I have 25 years and I have written 800 articles and I have talked to many people. I can predict what will happen to Malaysia. And you don't want to listen to it, okay? Because it's not a very good future that we have for our country. All right, ending this part, again, you can see all these writings. This is the summary of the weightage, just to show that it should be different. So build your future now. What are you interested in? What would you like to be remembered? What do you care about most? What kind of lifestyle do you want for you and your loved one? So decide now and then go get it lah. I mean, this is where the first part of preparing for promotion is to decide which part are you going to be. Okay, now for this one, the next part I will be talking for just 15 minutes about preparing for promotion. I don't want to spend too much time because the first part was the most important one. This one, if you already know and you have digested it, then I don't really necessarily have to talk about this. But then let's just go through a little bit. Okay. So, okay, it's important to make serious and convincing preparation for facing an interview. Many people, 2 weeks before the interview, then they start putting in their CV, no. You prepare like 6 months for this. You know, I remember preparing myself, having to find all the papers. I spent like 3 weeks collecting all the papers, putting it, sorting it out, making it nice. You know, some people, they just come in and then they just, you know, throw it in a pile. Cannot be in a pile. It has to be very, very nice and very easy for people to go through because you want to impress people. So taking time for academic promotion is very critical. Okay. And then what is it that you think about the post? If you don't understand it, ask other people. But most people, they just masuk saja, don't even know what to expect. And then second, strategize your main position, meaning you go in there, you expect to be asked question. No, you go in there, you expect to tell the panel who the hell you are and why you are good. Okay, that is strategizing. So how do you do it? Well, you listen to the question. First, the question asks this, then the question asks that. In between this question, you latch on to who you are and what you are doing and what is it that you are going to contribute. So you are the one managing the interview rather than letting other people manage it. Okay. Third is to communicate effectively. Okay, so such things like, oh, I don't know about that, tak boleh. Okay, when say something, well, I have some knowledge of it, which is mainly about this, and then tie into your own field. Never say such things like, I don't know, or I never thought about it. You know, don't ever say things like that. Fourth is to answer professionally and in an academic manner. Okay, so if somebody asks, how long have you been working at UCSI? 10 years. You don't answer that. Well, I have been with UCSI for 10 years. And before this, I was with, you know, you answer more in a very academic manner, rather than, even though the examiner or the person talking in a very leisurely manner, but you owe it to yourself to be very professional and a bit academic. Don't be as informal as the person. Okay. So the basic expectation of the assistant professor is simply that they have done most of the things of what an academic, which is teaching, administration, research, publication, consultancy, community contribution. Except for consultancy, as long as you've done all of this, then you are what we call eligible to ask for assistant professorship. And they have excelled in 1 or 2 of the 6 responsibilities, meaning you show at least 2 lah. Okay, not just 1, but 2, I think, would be better. That you are good at teaching. How do you show that you are good at teaching? All this student scores and stuff like that, and how do you put up your files and things like that. Okay. But remember, if you are into teaching and all that, then the thing that I said before comes into play. And then another important thing is to be able to declare an intended focus area. I always ask this. I'll ask, okay, 5 years down the road, what do you want to be known for? Okay. So if your answer is like very close to your PhD, then not very good. That to be a wider, excuse me, a wider, what do you call it? A wider idea. If you have a PhD, it's fine. If not, then you have to work harder to actually present yourself. Professional recognition is okay, but then what do you do with it? Okay. So when we say that you have already done 5 years or 6 years of teaching, what do you have to show for it? What do you have to show for it? So if you have not done something like a beginning of a course book, or beginning of a textbook, then I consider that, you know, you are an ordinary eligible candidate. But if you go and show, look, I have done my teaching and I'm on the way of completing my textbook, so you show the unfinished manuscript, that one shows that you are better than the candidate before. Remember, you are competing against your colleague. Then to test whether candidate has declared an academic focus area, the question how much has he or she done begin to build this focus area. You know, you begin to write, give talks on that same area, something like that. So if you have not prepared PhD, maybe you have done so. But as I said, PhD is not necessary. Okay. Although universities say it's necessary. You know why they say? Because they just want the numbers. They are not interested in the scholarly thing. They're interested in the number. Okay. Number 10 means more than 5. That's all they're interested in. Okay. I really don't like that kind of attitude. Has the candidate contributed new ideas on aspects of administration or course or subject? That one. So what new ideas have you done? You remember, it's not about you having done all these things. It's you having something a bit better than what an ordinary person would be. So if 5 candidates were there and all have done all the things like teaching, administration, and all that, so which is the best? So the best would have something else, and these are what I look for. Examples of question is, how is your teaching subject different from the lecturer previous to you? Most people karam when I ask this question. Habis, you know. But of course, they still get promoted. But then the point here is that if you want to know that you are better, then you at least can comment on at least what your lecturer have done before. What is your preferred area of focus? Why have you chosen that? What do you hope to contribute? Which institution have you established links for your PhD? You know, are you working with this person? If you sit under a tempurung, whether you have a PhD or not, you know, you're just there alone and just waiting to be appointed. And this is not a very good candidate. What is one important issue about administration or the faculty? Once upon a time, I asked this, and the candidate said, "I'm not the dean. Why are you asking me these questions?" So you see, all I ask is that, do you have any idea about how to improve the faculty? It doesn't matter whether the idea is good or bad. Have you ever thought about it? If you look blankly and say, so that means you are just somebody who follow orders. An academic is not one who follow orders. Professor Tajuddin has never followed any order. Okay, Professor Tajuddin only do what is good. And if it is in line with the order, it's fine. If it's not in line with the order, then I'll just do the good thing. Okay, so that is my way. The other ways, of course, just follow orders and all that. Well, that one, good luck lah. University ikut arahan, fine. All right. So the expectation of the associate professor. Now, the assistant professor is somebody who has done most things about academia and has shown to be going towards the direction of somewhere in some fields. Okay. and has contributed some ideas that is not implemented or whatever, doesn't matter, at least they have some thought about it. An associate professor is a person that is an expert in the field. Okay, if he is not an expert in the field, he is one of the most sought after expert in the field. Okay, so always the question is that, okay, who are in your field and where are you? Okay, the Vice Chancellor of UKM asked that question before I asked it. It is something to compare with. We are not competing against other people. So your answer should be, I am referred to, don't say I'm an expert, be humble. I'm always referred to in terms of Islamic architecture. In Malaysia, there are only 2 other persons who are involved with this aspect of history or theory of Islamic architecture. However, I would say that I have an edge over both of them in terms of mosque architecture, because I am involved in mosque activities in the Tabligh and in the political movement of Parti Islam of Malaysia. I've also read many of the hadith and have written a book about how the mosque should be different, while the other peers mainly concentrate on the general idea of Islamic architecture. You see where I'm going with this. Okay, so people, some of you who are going for associate professor, this is a critical question. Okay, where are you in this field and which part of you? So be humble, don't say I am the most expert, don't lie. Just say things like, okay, there are very few people. Don't say things like, truthfully, there are 20 people in this field and I'm number 16. Don't say things like that. Say, because the examiners, the interviewers don't know anything. If you lie to them, also they would know. Okay, right? So so that is how you can. So it's the depth of who you are. That's number 1. Number 2, I always look for a leader, because this person might be the next dean, the next vice chancellor. So questions like, what do you think of the university, and things like that. Okay. Finally, the question of this person is an associate professor who should be able to engage with society, right? So certain issues about the country and the society, he needs to be aware of, so that there is an answer from him. Although he is not known for it, that's fine. But there is an answer. It shows that he is actually thinking about it, things like that. Okay, so this is the associate professor. Questions like, identify the academic. What will you change if you were the dean to make learning as a culture? Something about the running an institution. Some people, okay, Q1, they ask all this nonsense. For me, I'm sorry, but it's not nonsense, but that one is just numbers. So I like to ask questions like, what national policies could you suggest to help solve certain aspect of this and that, this and that? Okay, so imagining that you are working for the government to actually help them to formulate a direction for certain people. I mean, that is the level of associate professor. Sudah mencecah kepada kata apa, pembuatan dasar. This is the aspect that the level that we are looking at. Okay, and if it helps if you are the head of a center. For professor, you are supposed to build a center. Okay, that sort of thing. Okay, expectation of professor. Now, professor must be able to comment on things in the field related to the society. Must be able to develop policies that will change the course of education, the course of the profession, the course of this and the course of that. Also, someone who has inspired other people to later on take over the field. Many professors don't do that, and in the question they just want to be professors. Okay, and then when you ask what are the things that their students are doing, where are they at, they just supervise students. They don't care about where the student. When I get a student, I will think where this person is. Let's say I get a student from Indonesia, so I target whether this person will be a vice chancellor or a minister. Okay, so that I develop him or her as a leader in that field, not only in that field but also show a larger aspect of it, so that this person will become a very important person in society, not just a lecturer. Okay, because then I can link with that person in the future. Right? I have a very political mind and a strategic battle plan for all the postgraduate students. Now I have China students. Well, I don't really like to go to China, but then, I have to do something. If not, I'm not very inspired to supervise people from China because I don't know what I want to get from China. So this is something that I have to figure out for myself. So at the moment, I'm just supervising, becoming a mediocre supervisor. But then I have to, rethink, because most of the time when I was at UTM, students come looking for me because I've given talks, and my students are the best students. Okay, they are lecturers. They come to me because they want to do something, and these are the kinds of students that could build what we call a knowledge body, right? A knowledge body. Right? So that is the. So some of the questions you think about, how does your center, proposed center, things like that. Some people like to ask question that, are you known in the, why should you be known? And I always say that I like to be Malaysian class, not world class. Some people say you have to be world class, be world renowned in order to be professor. What for? Okay, there's so many what do you call, best professor, 2% of all this 2%. What have they done to the country? Where is their research going in the country? Their research contributed something to other countries. So how are they considered to be best professor? And so this is something which, well, many people are not used to that idea yet. Okay, so this is the last slide about the promotion. So this is about how you approach it. I think maybe in a different time we can have it in a more focused manner, because today my talk is mostly about the first part, and this one just to give an idea about preparation, how to prepare for it. And you need to imagine the question, and you need to imagine the answer, and imagine that you are explaining that with your full body language. Most people, they come in, they sit like they are going to be shot in a firing range, and they listen to the question, they sepatah tanya, sepatah jawab, sepatah tanya, sepatah jawab, that's all. This is ridiculous. You control the thing. Okay, morning, my name is Muhammad Tajuddin. Thank you for having me today. Okay, they fire the first question. Yes, thank you for that question. For that, you bagi ceramah. Okay, but ceramah is the content, and then the next question that you relate back, that you get a very difficult question that you never thought of. But again, I said, don't say I don't know. Okay, say, okay, well, that question relates to this, and my focus is about this, and I know the question that you ask is important for that, but I feel that this field that I'm involved contributes more complementary. Don't say it's better than your question, things like that. You have to play politics a bit with the way that you answer question. Anyway, I think that's the end of my talk. Sorry to take a bit long, but certainly it's something that I have collected over. It's going to be an hour. All right, that's not so bad. Okay, so so that's the presentation, and I welcome any questions from the audience or from the moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Tajuddin. So I welcome any question from the floor. Any questions, or you want to ask for any additional tips?
Prof, can I ask question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Prof, thank you very much for the sharing. I think it's a good information. I receive a lot of good information from you. I think I learned a lot today, as usual. My question is that, see, I happen to be in the committee for developing the criteria, both in IPTA and IPTS for the promotion. See, now in Malaysia, as far as I know, I think 2015 or 16, they call it empat laluan, Prof. They are known. I think it's a good idea. Now people can develop their own pathway One is the teaching, then you have research, and you have the consultancy, and the last one will be admin. Yeah, admin. The problem is that, Prof, when we developing the criteria, some well, of course, like the one you did, we have the percentage, we have the items. But the problem is, Prof, when some professor, when they think about lecturer, they think lecturer should be able to do teaching, because they say it's only teaching is cikgu, it's not lecturer. At the same time, when they say one lecturer must do research, and if you only did research, they call it like a researcher lah. It's not a lecturer. So for them, lecturer is the one who can do all. Yeah, either you teaching, you did your research, you did your community service, at the same time you are a kind of admin. So when they develop the criteria in one of the IPTA and one of the IPTS that I've gone through, so for example, if you're taking the pathway of teaching, then they've developed, okay, you have teaching, then you need to do research in teaching. You have to do consultancy in teaching, at the same time you have to do like managing some program or something. At the same time, when you developing the, for example, like research, then you must do teaching on research. So all the component must be fulfilled in all those four laluan pathway in order for you to have the criteria very clear. So I'm asking for your opinion, Prof, because I know I visited some other more advanced university. They don't have this. Lecturer must fulfill all the criteria for that. So I'm looking for your opinion about it, Prof. Maybe you can share your thought about it.
Okay. Let's say somebody comes in. There was a case in UKM. I don't want to talk about it, but it's something like that. He come in from practice, and then they give him a professorship, and then they have problem because he is not an academic. Okay. All right. So the point is that, as I said in the first slide, or the second slide after the title slide, I said that all person who are in the university and they are called academic, they have to be able to do, these things. And I did not use the word research there. I used structuring knowledge, and I also use the word contribution. I didn't use the word PhD. I didn't use the word Q1 journal, whatever it is, even, all these things. But I agree with the other panelists that you must be able to do all. But do all means that you have been exposed to all aspects. Now, in the Faculty of Music, they face this problem. Okay, the Faculty of Music came to me, said they have a problem because the Vice Chancellor and Professor Pang also expect them to write papers. Okay, so I told them, well, why don't you write a history of this singer or this musician, or you can describe this, describe that. Those the dean and the was in a disagreement. They said, no, we do music, and the music is the one that actually differentiate between level professor and all this kind of thing. Yeah, I know. I said, but once you die, I said, how do you explain this? Because my mark is the legacy, warisan. Okay, if you are an academic in whichever category that you are, the question that I tanya is, if you die, can somebody else take that and proceed from there? This is my orang kata apa mark-off point. Okay, so if he's a great teacher, he can speak very well, blah blah blah, and then he dies. What's the principle behind it? What is the what do I take from there? Okay, so that is where I think the cut-off point about it. Now, with regards to research, now some people believe research is this one way. I said structuring knowledge. I said publication or making known of. Okay, so making known of doesn't mean that it is published by Dewan Bahasa or whatever. So making known of, people know Iswardi Morni through his YouTube. Tonight, I hope to meet him. Okay, so there are many ways that we can say that people know him. If somebody were to ask something, then he is referred to. Okay, because of this. Now, these professors who make all this thing, they have never done anything outside of their university. This is the problem, you see. They just stay their life in the tempurung. This is what I call Professor Tempurung. All right, so they don't know the wideness of things, and it's very unfortunate for them to be part of this committee. Yes, I agree with them on that. You need to be able to do all this, you know, publishing or making known of and structuring knowledge. Okay, the best about structuring knowledge, you don't want to write, is you put on the camera and then just talk. Okay, so talk to yourself, not talk to others, but talk to yourself, and then make it into a series or structure it properly. Okay, now sometimes many of the universities like UKM, they take in somebody like a very seasoned, say, pengarah museum, okay, a director of museum. Now, the guy probably never write anything and all that. So you must make sure that there is a young lecturer to document his experience in a structured manner. So that means the book or the thing that is published is recorded for both parties. Okay, so we don't have this practice at all in any university. And that's why people like Parik Wardi will die with his knowledge. Okay, Parik Wardi is like what, 85? Okay, he's not hearing anymore, and I don't see anybody bothering to go and record a lot of things. He's got he's the, you know, building up an institution like architecture. He's also part of LAM, part of PAM. What are his thoughts? What are his, you know, to say that they are the truth, but this is the man who lived and engaged, and that is knowledge. And this is where bila some professor nak pencen barulah ada wacana, what stupid thing is this, you know. A year before he pensioned, you need to go and record his experience if he is not the kind that writes things. Okay, so you need to have to help this person, right? So I have this Sheikh Muzaffar that I need to mentor in order to write books for children about space and things like that. He doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do all these things, and this is some trouble that he has. But the point here is that we need to open up so that we can get all the people outside, you know, like politicians like Anwar Ibrahim. You know, he became a professor at Georgetown University. I don't know how he, you know, but he has this Asian Renaissance. People say he didn't write it. It was written by his, you know, Ziad, his, what's his name? I forgot the name of the guy who was taken into ISA. So, but the point here is that these are his thoughts. Okay, he outlines his thoughts, and the guy writes it in a nice way, and ghostwriter kind of a thing, lah, we call it. Okay, so that's my response to your question.
Right, thank you, Prof. Any questions from the floor?
If I may, Prof, this is Ramani Bhai. If I may.
Yeah.
Thanks for your insightful talk. You presented at the right time the structure of the whole process. It's not just structure, the whole process of applying for promotion and so on. I have a quick question, please. I'm sorry if I'm wrong in asking this question. In the beginning, you mentioned that the promotion must be called, or the line manager should ask you to apply rather than you apply yourself. Do we have such system in UCSI? Should you wait for the call?
Well, I think, as I said, this is the ideal that I understand because of my understanding of what we call ilmuwan, cendekiawan, and also the idea of responsibility. Having knowledge in a spiritual sense must create you to be more humble, like what the proverb says. You know, the padi, when it's filled, it will become more, you know, it will be lowered, you know, and things like that. So that is it. Now, sorry to say, I'm sure in the practice of the past, the management of the university will say, hey, I think we need some professors lah. Why did you ask that guy to apply lah? Then we consider, you know, people just teach and they do the best that they can at that time. So at that time, they also don't know what is the criteria and what things like that. So the older person needs to actually understand that, and therefore they are actually offered once they are offered, then it's just a process of them going through the motions of applying. So if I were the head, and then I would say that, okay, one of the tasks of the head of department and the dean would be to sit down and then to actually look at all those who you think potentially, like, you don't have to look at all of them. Then you say, hey, call out the file for what's your name, Ramani?
Possible promotion.
Yeah, so maybe we can ask her to because they are the one having to defend to the vice chancellor, you see. So what happened now is that you put up your application. The dean has to understand this, because the first person to be shot is the dean, and rightfully so, because there must be somebody to back. And so so that is the way. But never mind. If we have to offer ourselves, then that's fine. Then we have to make it sure. That's why I asked a lot of people. I didn't talk about it. It's called a vision statement. Okay, the vision statement is actually who you are, what you want to do, and what are your best work. Because the team cannot read all your. You want to read my CV is 170 pages long. You know, so so you need to. I have to actually classify my writing into one classification. This is on politics, this is on architecture, this is on this. Is that many. Okay, so and then I have a short abstract of who I am and things like that. So this is in regard to when you apply, you need to strategize your position. Okay, and you need to know who you are, where you are. As I said just now, if it's associate professor, you're going to be associate professor. So in your field, who they are and things like that. You are humble, you don't want to know, but they want to know, you know. So that's that kind of thing. All right.
Thank you, Prof. It's clear. Okay.
All right, Dr. Kamarul, do you have any questions since you are switched on your video?
Hi, Prof. Very nice talk. So I think if you implement your criteria, I think I'm supposed to get professor.
Good. Well, if they don't have the Dubai move, boleh lah, but the Dubai move, susah.
I'm not really sure either. I want to ask a question or I want to share my experience. But based on your criteria just now, I think maybe I can put myself into 3 categories: as a teacher, as a researcher, and as a nation building also. But when I start my profession in UKM, you know, you with me at that time. Yeah, I start with Atma that time, doing multidiscipline research, and then I start teaching, and also back to Atma, doing the multidiscipline research. And after that, I did my my research alone. I go to the community, and I think I bring your part of your tips at that time. When I go to community, we don't talk about the architecture first. We talk about the community, what we community need, and what the architecture can support them. And now I think I have a free community program under me, which is one in Johor, which is we talk. And after I think about 10 years with them, so my field also I get one sub field in my in my expertise lah. That means I dah menulis buku adat to until now kan. But at the same time, I understand about the traditional architecture, mainly in Negeri Sembilan, why the architecture become like that, and also. But my question is, especially when nation building, when we involve with the community, sometimes we cannot really focus on our field. Might be other field where kita akan memperoleh satu field yang baru sebenarnya dalam diri kita lah, atau dalam kerjaya kita. So I also involved in one group which is multidiscipline now in Lenjang, which is we focus on development of orang asli also. And then dalam that group, we also talking about how to turn orang asli become entrepreneur and so on. So there's one thing I think I still in dilemma, either in when I get I want to apply the promotion, and then I want to talk about it. And I also have the recognition from the industry, of course lah. In maths, I one of the senior panel in accreditation for 10 years lah. This year about 10 years lah. I one of the senior of the panel. So basically, why I get the so many discipline at one time, because I most of the time I integrate my activity at the same time. I bring the student to the site, I get the link with the community, I get the research after that, and I also continue my contribution to the community, turn them into the publisher also. One of the craziest thing I did lah. I tak dapat publish my book here, and then I turn about to community as a publisher. So, what is your opinion? What I did for last 20 years lah.
Okay. All right. So this is an excellent question. Okay. This is about a person who's committed to a certain ideal. He was my student in degree, was my student in master's, he was also my student in PhD. I tried to develop him in terms of what to replace me in terms of theory of architecture. So in one sense, what he has done is branch out into something else. Now, when I branch out into politics, I've already become a professor. Okay, so next, if I were to ask, could be in a professor of political science or professor in something else, not necessarily in architecture. So for this kind of contribution, number one, Kamarul, you need to have the idea that to define yourself in the sense of what you call a community building. Okay, so you teach the people, say this is my field is about community building that blends in the idea of social, economics, this and that, and something of architecture. Okay, so but before that, there is a list that shows that you have done something. You have published some journal. You have some administration building things. That one has to be cleared out. And here I will show you how to show the evidence. Okay. Many people think the evidence must be all this journal and this reference this thing. For instance, a reference letter. Why must there be? There must of course be reference letter from. If you're asking for associate professor. The reference letter that you may is of course from professors. Some people they ask associate professors. Come on, don't do that. You have to get some professor to actually look at your work and acknowledge. That one is what the university want. But what you can also get is other people who are not professors, who maybe the penghulu or what and things like that, who testify to the thing that you do and the contribution. What is the contribution that you have made? So that means that reference letter, you can collect from several people, because obviously when you did that work, the publication is only one. And even if it is not published yet, Kamarul, as long, let's say, it's not published, then the panel will say not published. What you do is that you give this book to some people and let them write some sort of testimony that this is a good book. People like me, I take the book, I look through, sometimes less than 1 hour, I can tell you that it's a good book already. Okay, I don't have to read the whole thing. So the testimony from people, because, when you publish a book, it always goes through this penilaian and something, but because for some political reason, it got stuck. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid. Some people say, it's not valid until it's published. Okay, I wrote like 100 articles in encyclopedia, and it can never be sure to be a published thing, because the encyclopedia got stuck now 15 years already, but I already got paid, and this thing has been dinilai. So I said, why not? It becomes my work. So it exists in my CD, but people don't actually. So if they actually publish, I'm giving them Dewan Bahasa 1 more year. If not, then I'll publish all those in other books. Because they certainly did not do that. So to number one is to get this reference letter from other people, not necessarily professors. Number two, if you are going to tell them that you are in these 3 areas, fine, but then you must also have an idea of a certain one thing that you are actually committed to, and that you are the one that is not that many people or alone in this field, and that how is the contribution to the wider aspect of things. Yang tu you kena ajar your dean. Because kalau your dean tak tahu, then susah lah. So that means you need to bring the dean, or not just talk to him, but also bring those people to the dean pun boleh juga, and that sort of thing. You have to sell yourself. So it's not all this Q1s nonsense and things like that lah. It's another thing. It's the human connectivity. And yang tu, a good vice chancellor like Ekwan will acknowledge. I know that. I know him for a little while, and I see he knows it. Okay, so that is the alternate promotion criteria that not many people are actually following. But these are the things that we are missing. The committed lecturer. The term nation builder, I'm the only one who created it, so that's why it's not in existence like Nakula and all that. So they don't know what it is. Okay, because they don't see themselves like that. Okay, so you fall under the teacher. That's okay. Yeah. All right. Good. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Prof.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we welcome another one questions before we wrap up. Any questions from the floor? All right, Prof. I received one email actually asking for your slide. Is it okay if I share with
Yeah,
the
sure.
participant?
But understand that this is my personal view of things, not the university or UCSI. But when you see me in front of the panel, then you know what to expect.
All right, okay. I think we don't have any questions. All right. Okay, Prof. Thank you very much for your knowledge sharing. So we are looking forward to welcome you for another webinar on this coming Thursday.
All right.
All right. So thank you very much, Prof. And thank you very much to all participants.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Thanks, Prof.